Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. I'm Sasha, and I will be your host for today. Now, before we dive into introductions and presentations, I want to cover a couple of housekeeping items. First, please use the chat on your right-hand side to talk to other people about the event. You can kick things off by posting where you are joining us from in the world. Second, there's a tab right next to that for the Q&A. Please post your questions to the speaker there. Our last session will be a Q&A with our guest speaker, and I'll be taking questions from that tab and posing them to Gianpaolo. Now, if you are having any problems, you can always try to switch browsers. You can try refreshing your browser. If you're having internet issues, try a cabled internet connection, check your cookies, try private browser mode. And if at any point you forget how to get back to the streaming, to where we're streaming, you can click through the link in your email and get to the event page and click on stage. So click through the email, get to the event page, click on stage, and you'll get back to the live stream. So next, I would love to introduce our speaker for today. His name is Gianpaolo Valenti. He is the Global Data and Analytics Director at Intersport. Welcome, Gianpaolo.
Hello, welcome, thanks.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Gianpaolo. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So as I think you already mentioned, I'm the Global Analytics Director at Intersport, working here now for 5 years. And yeah, my main responsibility is just to lead the implementation and the delivery of our data platform to our business, make sure that the business can use the data to take better decision in a different area. I'm also responsible for all the web analytics part. I think we are working, I'm really focused on the e-commerce. I'm also, my background I was always working in e-commerce. So for us also that part is quite important to understand the consumer behavior on our e-commerce. And yeah, I just cover a different role in my career in different positions, starting as a business intelligence developer and moving more into managing people and define and drive the strategy for the the implementation of the data platform or all the analytics area. Yeah.
Thanks, Gianpaolo. That's great background. I'm really looking forward to your presentation. And for now, we're going to say goodbye for a couple of minutes, and we'll welcome you back on stage in just a few.
See you soon.
So first, let's go through a quick agenda. So I'm going to spend just about 8 to 10 minutes, giving a brief intro to Nime. Then I'll welcome Gianpaolo back on stage, and he'll be telling you about their story about how they created intelligent product feeds. And we'll end the session with a Q&A. So don't forget to ask your questions in that right-hand panel for anything you'd like me to ask Gianpaolo. Okay, so first we like to start with just an overview of Nime. I saw that about half of you are completely new to Nime, so this can provide some great context for all of you for Gianpaolo's presentation. And for those of you who are familiar with Nime, maybe this will give you a couple of ideas about how to talk about Nime in the marketing context. So the topic today is marketing. And as marketers, we know that personalization is extremely important. And but I think what we haven't quite seen is how important it is. So a recent McKinsey study has shown that the stakes for personalization are increasing. So the value of getting personalization right or wrong is multiplying. And a couple of these stats you guys will be familiar with. They've been around for a while. So 76% of consumers are likely to purchase from brands who personalize. 78% are likely to repurchase from brands who personalize. But this last one actually shocked me. It's that brands who use personalization tactics regularly grow 40% faster than those who don't. What that means is that personalization is moving from a nice to have for the marketing organization to a must have. But of course, there's some things that are getting in our way. So For marketers, data is still quite siloed. It's stuck in our automation tools, it's stuck in our CRMs, it's stuck in our ad platforms. And to get a complete view of the customer and truly understand how to target them precisely, it takes a lot of work. And getting data out of those different programs and into one place to get a unified view is still quite manual for marketers. So most marketers are still downloading CSVs and combining them in order to get even an understanding of what they can do next in terms of personalizing their efforts. But of course, if they want to do something more than work in spreadsheets, if they want to, say, work with big data, or if they want to work with a new data type like text, they historically have had to resort to learning how to code or learning Python, which of course is a huge time investment. Now, this problem is not unique to the marketing organization. We see it in many business units throughout the enterprise. And many businesses are addressing this through two divergent approaches. So first, they're building analytical centers of excellence. So they're hiring a bunch of data people, so data scientists, data engineers, data analysts, and they're having them solve enterprise data problems. At the same time, they're upskilling their business experts. So they're upskilling their marketing analysts, for example, to be able to do more than what they can typically do in Excel. The only problem here is that effective use of data relies on both of these groups working together. But right now they're in completely different worlds. So data experts have one set of skills, how to work with data, often in their own tools like Python and R and SQL. And domain experts, marketers, have their own skills and work in their own tools. And the two groups have completely different focuses and often conflicting priorities. So data teams are focused on bringing long-term value to the organization. So creating data solutions that are standardized, that can be reused, and they're making sure that data is kept secure and clean. On the other hand, business experts want time to value. They want answers to their questions quickly so that they can act on them and move on to the next campaign. Nime provides a single solution for both kinds of data workers. If you're a marketing analyst, you can automate grabbing all your data from different Excel spreadsheets, transforming it, and creating that return on ad spend report that then gets automatically sent out via email to all your stakeholders. In the same platform, a data scientist can build, train, and deploy an incredible machine learning model and make it available via a REST API so that it can enrich Salesforce data. And the important thing is that because both groups can work in the same platform, it opens up collaboration between the two. So a marketer can bring in a new Excel spreadsheet. Then their colleague who knows some Python could drop in a Python script. And the person that's working on the machine learning models can decide to abstract away all of these details and hide the complexity of the model. Now, if they decide that that model isn't performing quite as well as they would like to, they can swap it out for a different one, maybe trying out our AutoML component instead. Now, because Nime is open source, that means that through the open ecosystem, all advanced methods and all the popular AI and machine learning libraries are accessible to data scientists if they would like to use them. Now, what does this mean for the organization? If you're a marketer and you're working in spreadsheets every day, the first thing you can do is you can automate all the data tasks that you do, or a lot of the manual reporting that you have to do. And once you get that time back, you can do whatever you want with it. You can spend it on marketing activities like creating stronger copy or creating better landing pages, or you can dive deeper into data. So you can advance, you can upskill to start clustering your data, to start identifying anomalies, and to start finding patterns you didn't maybe think existed before. And actually, Gianpaolo in his presentation will talk a little bit about how they've done that. And so because the platform can support both the most basic and the most advanced use cases for data analysis, the sky's the limit for how much you want to learn if you want to invest the time in upskilling. On the other hand, the platform is an end-to-end platform. So any models that are built in Nime can also be deployed via the same low-code, no-code interface. You can, as you've seen, share and reuse and collaborate on these workflows. And the data scientists or whoever is looking out for all your models can make sure that they're being monitored and execution is scheduled and automated, all in one central place. And of course, eventually we can get to a place where we're continuously deploying analytical apps and services. And of course, the proof is in the pudding. And what we've seen is that using Nime not only has top-line impact, but also bottom-line impact. So the efficiency of the teams is improving. And what was previously possible with say 4 people is now possible with 1 person. So those 3 other people can do 4 times as much as they were able to do previously. But enough from me. I would love to bring back Gianpaolo so he can bring you through a real use case and get into the details of how Nime is used. Welcome back, Gianpaolo.
Yep, and so I'm going to also explain how we kind of improve. As I say, I think we already explained how we improve the way that we generate our product feed. It's just really focused on e-commerce. But let's go first on quickly introduction on Intersport, what we are doing. How big is our business. So that is basically the structure of Intersport. So we have, at the bottom we have the ICC, what we call Intersport International Corporate. That is the corporate that is managing the Intersport group, and then on top of us there are 25 national organizations. National organization can manage different Intersport country. So, for example, one national organization can be in charge of the operation on 3 or 4 more country, and then we have what we call the Intersport retailer, that are our physical store that are branded at Intersport, and in total we have 5,647 Intersport shop. That is a mix of Intersport store plus a member, because we also operate as a franchisee. In some country, the way we operate, it's a bit different. So you can have a store, they are not under the Intersport banner, but still part of the group. So that is where we are. I think we are on 57 country. Our revenue was 12.2 billion, with say around almost 6,000 store, more or less. And as you can see, our presence is kind of almost everywhere. Of course, our core business is still in Europe. Now we are, in the last 10 years, we are starting to do a business in China. So we are also growing quite fast there. And we are in Canada and Australia. So almost all the Okay, so what I will like to share the experience that we have. I think, as I said before, I'm working always in e-commerce. So of course it's really important that how you run your campaign based on the Google search or any other kind of search. Now there are a lot of tool, Facebook or Instagram, where you can generate your campaign, you can show your product, and you want to, of course, capture, be expose your product to the right people. So then I think you need a lot of information that can use to try to understand which are the product that you would like to run a specific campaign. You target the people on a specific product. So then I think first I would like to show how our all the kind of way to get all the data, to combine all this data that we need to be able to run all our campaign in this in this merge, like a Google Merge Center of Facebook, and it was quite, I think, quite complex. It was a lot of people has been involved on this on the process. So. And yeah, I think everything was not really connect. And yeah, so as I can show you, you can see from the left of this slide that all the source of the data that we use. So we use at the first part, it will be the main product feed, where you have all the information from the feed, like the title, the description, the size, the availability, the category the product are in, and then of course there are information that are not part of that feed, like something's coming out from your ERP system, could be your stock availability for each product. Some information is coming out from our data warehouse because these data are only living there. And as I said before, we have Google Analytics where we can see, for example, all the information on page view on specific product, the micro conversion, like the add to cart rate or specific conversion for a specific product. And then other marketing information that sometimes we use also to be able to create this kind of intelligence in the campaign that we want to run, and also associate a specific product to a specific campaign. Then what we usually use, we put all this data. Usually it's like it was putting this data in an SFTP folder. Somebody has to do this kind of also manual download. Even in Google Analytics, you have to query the data, generate a file, and after place in an SFTP folder. It was quite kind of time consuming, and also there were dedicated people to do that. And all this file has been connected to what we call the product feed management tool, and where we usually we blend all this data. We put all this information together. Of course, we see that there was often we have some issue, and it was difficult, for example, for us to be completely in control on what was happening there. And yeah, and then of course we in this tool we generate after we merge all the data, we generate the final product feed with the information that we need, and we published into this into Google or Facebook, whatever. And then I think there was the last step where we have also we have to create this attribution to a specific campaign for each product. There was also a bit of expensive task. And yeah, so that's how we used to generate the feed. Say at the end, I will show you how we change now with Nime, using Nime, how we automatize a lot of this task, and also how we are more in control on what's happening also in the logic. Yeah, but first let's maybe go a little bit into yeah, what is also the main scope of enrich all this data into our product feed. And the main we have a kind of also with the support of Google, they support us also to kind of they help us to creating a better campaign, and it's based on a specific objectives and specific goals. So I say, okay, before there was like sometimes it was not really a definition of the goal for a definition of the goal, but now I think we are more into, okay, we want to, for example, we have a specific campaign where we want to acquire new customers. So there is a customer acquisition. We have, for example, we want to manage the inventory. If we can see that there is specific product where we have a high inventory, maybe the sell-through rate it's low, so we can promote, or we can, take different action, or we want to run awareness, or it's just matter of profit. So we want to sell the product that where we have the highest margin. So then to be able to achieve all this goal and to have a different campaign based on different product, of course you need all the data, and then that was the way where we start building our product feed. As you can see, you have all your product list, you have the basic information like title, description, size, all of that, and then you can start, try to understand what are the data that I need to achieve the goal that I showed before. Then you can simple start adding the ROIs and see, of course, if the product has high or medium or low ROI. Of course, you can classify as you like. We decide to have this classification of ROIs. You can also use number or specific value, and then we keep adding data in our feed and try to add as much data as possible that are really valuable for our main achievement. So you can start also adding the unit gross margin. So these are the business intelligence data that sometimes maybe this information are all on your data warehouse. So, and then you can also keep adding the stock level. So you can see how we already kind of, make the information that we can use to run our campaign are already getting more complexity, and that they have much more information. And then you can just keep adding information there. So we have, of course, as we are multi-category and also multi-brand business, it's also for us, for example, it's really important the supplier of the brand awareness on specific brand are maybe more important than other brand. And so then you can still, together with the marketing team, keep adding this information that are really valuable for the definition of the campaign. Then, we have also if the product could be a product that it's in season, for example, or off season, or carryover. We have product that they always been sold in our e-commerce, and then as I said, that as I showed you before, all this information what they used to come from different sources. Sometimes it was even an Excel file, storage, I don't know, just some personal PC of some guys working on marketing. And and then you can, as I say, some other example, more focus on customer. If you want, we can also get out some CRM data where you say, okay, if the product is, it was relevant for as a first purchase, for example, we can say the product, the first product was often purchased as a first purchase from specific customer. So we can kind of labeling also this product as first purchase relevance. Yes, I mean, maybe if we want to acquire new customer, this is a good product to try to, how do you say, to increase our probability of a transaction. If we move more into this, is also quite important data for us. As I say, always e-commerce, and we in e-commerce we work with the funnel. That funnel goes from a specific product, how many page view you have on a specific product, how many click-through rate, if the product has been, you have an impression on also on the page, on the listing page, and you can see page view. You can have the hard to cart rate up to the conversion rate for a specific product. I think this is are for me really valuable also information, because you can also here understand if there is a product where you have maybe problem on if they are not converting as you expect. Could be that maybe the content in the website also is not is not good enough, or there is some misinformation. So you can also, using this data, try to exclude specific product from your campaign. Then maybe you see that you will drive traffic of drive people on a product page where maybe you're not expect to having a good conversion. And my think as and then once all this basically all this information are being just put together, you can have okay, now you have your main product feed with all the information. You can start thinking, okay, let's see if we find some specific path in the data, and you can start identify similar product that they have similar kind of information. So if you go deeper, you can start say, okay, maybe this product has they have the same pattern, and maybe you can say, okay, this product, they will end up on a specific campaign, because it can be that you have high stock and maybe high margin, so you want to run specific campaign on this product. Of course, as I said, this before was quite some manual work, but with Nime we will be able also to identify this kind of partner in a much smarter way. And so you can just go on and you say, okay, you can here, once all the data are together, and once you have all this information, then of course it would be easy to just start thinking which kind of campaign you want to do based on the information based of also kind of product cluster that you can create, that they have kind of similarity on this information. Or you can also decide to only use specific variable. You don't want to use everything. You can say, okay, I want to maybe see if I can use some intelligence here that it will, let's see what it will be the output of apply a specific model, or just, okay, I want to use these two, I say variable or two column to just say, okay, let's try to identify the product that can be nice to run on a specific campaign. And and let's say, so you can go on and so at the end we end up on completely kind of change the workflow, or the way that we are we kind of the way we used to create this product feed. The enrichment of this data is changed completely. Now everything, it's basically we use a Nime as kind of orchestration tool to blend all this data. As you can see, I also show that with some specific nodes, we've been able to automatize a lot of this kind of import of the data into Nime. Also, we reduce a lot the amount of people they're being involved on the full process of of building the product feed. So, for example, now in the data warehouse, we have direct connector with the SQL. We have a SQL, we have a query that extrapolate the data directly. So everything is automatized, and there is not anyone that maybe has to generate a file and place somewhere. It's fully connect. Also, Google Analytics, I think we use the native API with Google Analytics in Nime, where you can just also set a query and you can retrieve the data directly from there. We use, for example, we move away with from all our SFTP connection. And because also in Nime you have the Microsoft authentication, you can connect directly to a SharePoint folder, SharePoint file system. That's make much easier, if there is specific Excel file or CSV file that is being managed maybe only in one department, and they just can place that file in a specific folder. You can always read that file directly from Nime. And and then once all this all the connector are being created in Nime, it's also much easier to create all the to merge all the data together, of course, with the data blending that you can do in Nime with a simple join. And we also notice, of course, that in case of a mistake, it was much easier to troubleshooting if we have any problem, because in Nime you can see, basically visualize all the logic, and you can quickly understand where maybe a mistake or bug or error could be. And in the previous tool, sometimes it was a kind of a black box, because we were not fully in control on how the data has been blend together. And as I said, also the logic that all the logic around the the labeling on the product on specific campaign, everything was also done in Nime. So then we have this intelligence where we can create also different, for example, different column, and we can flag a specific product could be part to a specific campaign or not. So then when we just send the data directly into Google or any of this tool, the marketing team can already see, or kind of drill down all the product that they needs to be associated to a specific campaign. So that's, I think, is also simplify a lot the work of the marketing team, because as I said, all the definition of all the attribution of a specific product into a specific campaign has been done already before that the information goes into the tool that we use to to run the campaign. There was also another quite really interesting part that in Nime you can also create set an alerting system, for example, and send out email if maybe something goes wrong on in the workflow, because this workflow run every morning for us. For example, at 7 o'clock, we generate the feed every day. But of course, can happen that sometime maybe not all the data are ready or something goes wrong. And then I think we have some logic where we can send out alert to the marketing team or to the the people they manage this workflow, where they can see, okay, for example, I don't know, can be yesterday we have 20,000 product on our feed. Today is only 5,000, so maybe there is a problem. So we can send. So we can also create statistic on how many product we have on for each specific campaign that we define. I think that's make also quite simple, because sometimes you don't have maybe before you, because it's happen often also to us that sometimes you say you want to run a specific campaign, then you log into Google and say, okay, but there are not enough product because something failed, and then I think you can act much faster, and you don't end up on having this kind of issue. And what I also suggest to you, usually, of course, maybe before you start thinking, okay, which kind of information you need to add on your product feed, or just try to, maybe first understand which are your goal, your campaign that you want to run, your objective, your challenge, which kind of KPI you want to, how you want to measure also the success of a specific campaign, what you can try to achieve. And then, of course, I will always, for me, at least that what I like, just starting from the goal, and after go back, okay, this is my goal. Do I have the data to to achieve this specific KPI? And then, okay, you can say, okay, just create a list of the information that you need, and go back and see, okay, where these information are, which system or which team, and then you can build what I showed in the slide before. So everything you need, and and then I think because also I think maybe sometimes the mistake is that I see there is people, or there are company where they just start from, okay, which data we have, we're gonna put everything there, and then maybe try to identify or define your main goal for your campaign. Then just quickly, I want to kind of give you the feeling on really on how much we has been able to kind of improve. We see that really a huge reduction of the team members' involvement on day-to-day basis. As I said before, just there was a team. For example, the analytics team, they work with Google Analytics. They have to check every day if the data that they that we pull out from Google Analytics was correct. They have to place manually in an SFTP folder and so on. So also with the marketing team, that there are information they are only maybe create by them, and they are not living in any system. They always have to, somebody has maybe to go in an SFTP folder, place the file, make sure that this file is up to date every day, and and it's being picked up every day. So we kind of remove all that kind of complexity, and also the people that has to be involved in this. The other part, of course, time spent. As I say, there is less people involved, so less time, and also there is maybe some time that you have to invest on at the beginning when you have to build your Nime workflow. But I think once it's the workflow, it's built, it's up and running, you can save, I think, as I said, a lot of time on if you have a change request. For example, you have to add a new source of data, or there was maybe, I don't know, new information that we add in a specific file that was not there before. What we see that the changing of the workflow in Nime is much easier than we in the previous way we used to manage the data. And also troubleshooting, I think, is much faster. I think it's much more visual, as I said, and yeah, we are fully in control on all the logic that we build in the Nime workflow, and that's also allowed you to, if there is a problem, to tackle quite fast. And then of course the efficiency on the labeling of the campaign, as I said before, was done manually. We first generate the feed into our product feed management, and only then I think we have to go manually and say, okay, let's see which kind of product needs to be part of this campaign, and then you have to flag and manually in Excel, and then everything is automatized. So we save also a lot of time there, and that I think it's also quite nice. Of course, you can still do some manual work sometimes, because maybe you have to still run a kind of custom maybe logic that cannot be handled in the Nime workflow. But yeah, I think it was also kind of a really huge change. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Gianpaolo. That was a great presentation. I saw there was some positive feedback in there, so thank you so much for your time. So we're going to switch over to the Q&A, and as we're gathering questions, I'm going to kick off with some of my own. So first, can you tell us a bit more about how your team works together with the marketers who are managing the campaigns? So how did you guys come up with this solution together, or how did you find the problem?
Yeah, usually it's like I say, as kind of working as more into the business intelligence or data leader, we also build a lot of reporting for them, so we start always from there, kind of try to understand which kind of data, data need they have. And usually we start with sometimes we start with KPI, but after we end up on talking about everything around data. And then I think, we just end up, okay, that we see also, I'm really close to the more kind of the integration team, and we see that we have this kind of issue. We say, okay, we use this tool, and see, kind of the marketing team start complaining it was too complex, and sometimes they have too much trouble. We say, okay, why we don't try to change the way we use this data. I can support you on simplify and also remove some tasks from your team and move into more into the business intelligence or the analytics team. And and then there were like small proof of concept with one of these of them, and they were happy. We just move forward and say we move all the, because of course we work on the country level, so we move all the country into this kind of new flow.
Got it. So did you start with some kind of pilot first with a smaller group, and then you started using it with a larger group?
Yeah, sometimes we start with maybe a small country where we kind of, the impact can be more limited in case of we do some mistake. And then I think everything goes well. I think we just roll out to other country and see. Also sometimes, because as I say at the beginning, the way we operate in as Intersport, it's not always easy because country they kind of own their business, so we always have to kind of prove that what we are doing as a global team, it's what they need. So I think it's also important.
Got it. And this question, it's not from me, so it's not shameless, I think. It's how long have you been using Nime, and what made you select Nime over other platforms?
So I'm using Nime now, let's say more or less for 7-8 years. Oh, wow. And it was funny because I think we did a proof of concept in one of my previous company, and we did not decide to use the tool, to be honest, but I was like so impressed. Also at that time they were like, really it was a different tool. Let's say in these 7 years I think you improve a lot. And then I used for like 2-3 years only on kind of my personal. Sometimes it was a problem solving for me when you have all these CSV file, whatever I was using to merge all this data. And then when I joined to Intersport, because of course here I have also kind of when they joined, I have to build all the strategy for the BI, for the analytics. I think there was a good moment to say, okay, I think we should start using Nime. So now we officially use in the last 3 years here in Intersport as official tool. And so I'm quite happy. I think on the amount of things that you can do on kind of also in a different area in Nime. Yeah.
Right. And along the same vein, someone asked, did you use any kind of formal Nime courses to get your team up to speed? And if so, what level would you recommend that people get up to?
I think that's maybe more a question for you. It's like, okay, it really depends. It really depends. I think I don't see one answer here. I think it's really, you need to have the feeling of the skill of the person on your team. So for example, usually say if you have some person that is really skilled on Excel, for example, I quite impressed sometimes what people can do in Excel. And they say maybe these people can pick it up easily on, move to Nime. Maybe they just have to they just have to adapt themselves, but the logic behind it is there. You don't have to explain them maybe how they can do specific things. So I think these people, maybe you can just start with more advanced, maybe just quickly get confident with the tool itself, but maybe they don't need to do and of course if you have people maybe they have also kind of a SQL knowledge or more also technical skill, I think also for these people it's maybe it's nice to start already with more advanced course. I see maybe more into the business now and work close more to the business people, marketing, that I think they can also use the tool. Maybe for these people you can keep you can start at beginner level where they can start maybe kind of understanding a little bit the tool and maybe understand the logic, what they can do with the data. And that's just my experience. But I see that every team is different. So then I think it's, it's different.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen some crazy impressive things in spreadsheets throughout my marketing time. So in many ways, it's more complex than a simple Nime workflow, I think.
Exactly. They sometimes have like, okay, can you fix me this file? I say, no, I don't want to deal with Excel.
Another question is, what were some challenges in migrating from the old way you used to work to a Nime-based workflow?
I think you have to educate some people first. And sometimes it's also, how to say, I think I like to give more responsibility to, for example, to the business, because sometimes business say, they go to IT say, can IT or whatever of the tech area, I say, can you do this for me? And they just like, stuff they don't care. If some problem is happen, they don't even want to see if the data wrong. I think the main challenge is just, okay, to give the responsibility sometimes to the people. They have to kind of, for example, integrate a specific file. And other challenge, I mean, I think if you have a good kind of Nime developer, I don't see like really big challenge. I think it's more really convinced people that this is the right way to go. I think it's always start on when you want to change something, fighting against, the, how do you say, the barrier that you have. And then I think once they realize that you can kind of support them on what, on and simplify them live, I think that's it's the way to go. Yeah.
Did you have to convince mostly your own team, or did you also have to talk to other stakeholders?
Depends. Now, as I say, in Intersport, it's more convince kind of part of the old, IT. What the IT they used to manage all this workflow, and how do you say, difficult, because sometimes there are also people they don't want maybe to lose control on a specific thing. So first, I think it's not losing control, but maybe improving the process, and it's not the who is in control. And with some team, it's, as I said, they are really heavy Excel users. So I think my main goal was try to show them that they are not going to lose them skill, but they're not going to lose that, but they're just going to do a different, maybe a better important. Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah. Sorry about that. I think there was some connection issue.
Yes.
Okay, but we're back.
Yes.
Another question from the crowd is a question about data governance and how do you ensure data quality. Based on this person's experience, this has been a big challenge when dealing with multiple and diverse data sources.
I think in my slide there was at the end. I think you can in Nime create a lot of logic on, for example, we create some statistic and we can send out email with, for example, with all the product that we have in each specific campaign that we want to run, and this can be done by brands and you can also set alerting. For example, we know that every day for a specific country we need to have at least 20,000 kind of product. If we have like less than 10,000, it's trigger an email, and this can be done also in Nime. Data governance, as I say, this is a little bit more, I think, quite a big question. And it's like, as I said, I try to kind of give more ownership on specific team where they can, say, using, for example, SharePoint or these kind of things, they can handle specific information. But at the end, I think even in Nime, for example, in a job like this, you can also, through the portal, give permission to a specific team where they can run this job maybe twice, if maybe they do some change in the product and they want to rebuild the Nime workflow, you can only maybe give access to a specific workflow. So you can also manage this in Nime. And and then I think there is also another way. But of course, the governance in the data, I think it's a much bigger maybe topic than only on Nime, how to use Nime.
Yeah, I'm not a data scientist, but I've seen the sizes of those textbooks on data governance and all of that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, another question is, so we know that, so you showed some examples of how you push data into Google Ads or these different feeds, but do you then actually push the data back into your workflow to do something like product scoring?
No, not yet. I think you can maybe do. I think what you can do, but we do not do it. For example, in Google, of course, you can, if you want to see the result of the campaign, of course, you can still connect with Google Analytics, and then you can see all the campaign, the performance, and maybe you can just attach back to that. It's something that I know that we can do it, but we are not doing right now. Also because, of course, as I said, my job is also stop when the product feed is in the marketing team can use and the data are there. So then I'm not really responsible on the performance of the campaign.
Got it. So I think I have 2 more questions for you before we run out of time. One is, what do you use for visualization for the results of Nime?
I mean, I don't want to sponsorize another tool. No, I don't know. I don't know. As a company, we use Power BI. I think it was something that I did not put there, but I think there is also Power BI. I think in Nime, I see now you release also the Power BI connector, so where you can, for example, create and publish a data set there, and you can run. Maybe you can create a small report on top of your product feed on that. I think we use that. In the past I used Tableau. I think they are both quite of good tool on the visualization part, and yeah.
Okay, great. And the last question for today is, there's over 3,000 nodes in Nime. Do you have any tips and tricks on how to get familiar with them and which ones to use for your workflows?
Oh, that's a good question. Difficult. I think for me, I always can speak my experience. I think everybody is different, and maybe you have to. I'm just I'm learned by doing. I'm really like to start building something, and that's okay. What I can use is start searching and try to understand if there is a node. I think is also, of course, now I see that there is a lot of information in Nime, in the blog that it's people can react quite fast, and so I think that's where usually is the way I go. But for me, as I said, it was also kind of simple because I was also coming from other ETL kind of ETL tool and doing a lot of with SQL, and then for me is just try to understand how you can build the same logic, not using, for example, the SQL and using Nime, and same with Excel. I think the Excel user, when they see also you kind of sometimes build a macro, you have to try to understand, okay, I build this macro, and I will maybe start. There is the same kind of, how do you say, there is a node that I can use to do the same kind of action that I'm doing in Excel here. And then I think you can start discovering your, the way. But maybe the most difficult part for people that are more advanced is maybe how you can start. Maybe you can use loop, or you can use variable. But I think once also you learn that, I think you go also to another level in the way that you can use the tool. So, yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's a tough question. I think that's like asking, how do you learn every Excel formula out there?
Exactly. I think you have to go against the, and sometimes I think I say, if you want to, I don't know if it really makes sense to keep studying, but I mean, you can maybe try to understand which kind of main area of the node that you have, and then I think when you understand that, I think it's also easy to find the right node for your need.
Great. So that's actually all the questions that we have today. So we're going to wrap up. Gianpaolo, thank you so much for your time. Do you have anything that you want to leave us with? Any advice or anything for the audience?
No, not really. I think, I mean, for maybe the people they are not new in Nime, what I can say, I think the tool is free. I think you can start using as I did, and you can use the executor, I think, and maybe get some confidence there, and then you can see if it can be the tool that will fit your need. I think that's maybe based on my experience, and it's easier than other tool maybe because you don't have to pay, or you don't have to, you can just download in your PC, or you can start playing with it. And that's it. And thank you for, of course, for all the Nime community and the Nime team to invite me here. It was nice to have this opportunity and talk here. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you.
Yep.
Thank you so much, and see you soon.
Yep. Thank you.
Everyone, thanks for joining us today. If you want to learn more about what you can do with Nime, feel free to reach out to us by clicking the button on the left side of your screen. Otherwise, of course, we have a bunch of free resources. You can download Nime Analytics platform right now for free and play around with it. You can go to the Nime Hub and browse over 10,000 working examples. And if you run into any trouble, ask a question on the forum. Otherwise, we hope you'll connect with us on social media, and we hope you've enjoyed the presentation.